Up on Mountain News at 5:30, a Lexington baseball team is working to honor a Lexington high school student killed by gunfire. And President Biden wraps up his trip to Ireland.
And showers and storms are back in the forecast as we head into the weekend. I'm tracking the latest coming up as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to Southern and Eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Olivia's off tonight. The Lexington Counterclocks baseball team is working to honor a Lexington high school student killed by gunfire. And as Samantha Valentino reports, they say this is just one step in their efforts to better the community.
Trinity Gay was 15 years old and a student at Lafayette High School when she lost her life to gun violence in 2016. The then Lexington Legends had this mural put up in her honor, but over the years, it's been vandalized. With so many changes happening at the stadium, the Lexington Counterclocks sat down with Trinity's family to discuss the best way to continue honoring her.
We figured out that the scholarship would be the best way to maintain her legacy for years to come and not have to worry about the side of a building deteriorating or vandalism.
Starting next spring, the Trinity Gay Scholarship will be awarded to one FCPS high school senior each year. To be considered, students must maintain a 3.0 GPA, participate in at least one sport or extracurricular activity, and demonstrate involvement in the local community. They must also submit an essay on the impact of gun violence.
Lots of people have been affected by gun violence, unfortunately, and so if they get an opportunity to help get that off their chest or help maybe shed light and present a new solution to where we don't have to keep revisiting these sad times.
In addition to the scholarship, a new plaque will be installed to honor Trinity inside of the stadium to ensure that it can be preserved for years to come. Scholarship winners will have their names added to that plaque as well. The team says this scholarship is just one step in their efforts to better the Lexington community.
We know we have a very important role in the community, and what we're going to do moving forward, using baseball as that vessel. So you'll see us out in the community from here on out. This is literally just the beginning.
In Lexington, Samantha Valentino, WKYT.
The Lexington Counterclock season kicks off in exactly 2 weeks with a 3-game homestand against the York Revolution. Funeral services are being held today for some of the victims of Monday's mass shooting at Old National Bank in Louisville. Thomas Elliott's funeral service happened earlier today at Broadway Baptist Church in Louisville. He was a senior vice president at Old National Bank and was a close friend to Governor Andy Beshear, who spoke at the service today. He was 63 years old. Josh Barrick's visitation is ongoing now. His funeral will be tomorrow at 10 a.m. at Holy Trinity Catholic Church. Barrick was also a senior vice president at the bank and was 40 years old. Deanna Eckert's funeral was set for 3 p.m. today. She was a bank administrator. She was 57. Jim Tutt's visitation is set for Sunday from 2:30 to 5:30 at Southeast Christian Church Chapel. His funeral is set to follow that. He was a senior vice president at the bank and was 64. We do not know funeral arrangements for Juliana Farmer at this time. She had just started at the bank recently as a loan analyst, and she was just 45. The father of the Louisville bank shooter says he will be tested for a degenerative brain disease called CTE. A family friend also says the family and Kentucky State Medical Examiner wanted to have the testing done. The process has begun and results are expected in a few weeks. CTE is degeneration of the brain caused by repeated trauma to the head. Diagnosis is made by studying sections of the brain. Connor Sturgeon's friend says he had 3 significant concussions while playing football and basketball in the 8th and 9th grades. He says high school classmates even called him Mr. Concussion.
Showers and thunderstorms continue to traverse the region this afternoon. As a matter of fact, we're still watching, even though we're seeing some sunshine in some spots. Here's the view from our camera here in Hazard on top of WYMT studios. We're actually seeing storms in the distance. You see the dark clouds, you see that big marshmallow looking cloud there in the front view. That's a storm out near Harlan as we look kind of off to the south and southwest at this point. And here's a look from our camera at Buffalo Mountain. More storms getting ready to work into parts of southern Perry County. Well, storms is a rather loose term, but another look at a little bit of a shelf cloud trying to get going there from our view at Buffalo Mountain. You see where the rain's been. We've quickly fallen into the upper 50s and low 60s where we are still dry. It's warm. 75 Moorhead and 76 over in Wayne. There's where the heaviest rain is in the Big Sandy right now. Nice downpour in Paintsville as you head into the northern parts of Pike County over toward Warfield there in Martin County as you cross the border into Wayne, Logan, and Mingo counties. Logan County getting dumped on right now. Plenty of rain there in Mount Gay and points off to the north and east. Further off to the west, you're starting to see a little bit of diminishing in the showers right along the Mountain Parkway, and further to the south, there's that next complex getting going across portions of the Cumberland Valley, north of Highway 80 there, right near Eubank, over toward Waynesburg there, into parts of northern Pulaski County into Lincoln County as well. Everything here is kind of slowly moving off to the north and east. Those showers to the south encountering the cooler air, so they're kind of falling apart a little bit. Into the upper 60s this evening. We drop the storm risk later tonight and drop into the 60s as we head through the overnight hours. Steve, I'll have the details on when we see more clouds and showers moving in a few minutes.
Evan, thank you. If you had a good eye, you might have seen a turkey walking around there on the Buffalo Mountain camera, and a lot of turkey hunters will be in the woods this weekend. Well, a day after his dramatic arrest, the suspect in a months-long intelligence leak faced a judge in Boston. While the case moves forward, the Pentagon is now rethinking its handling of sensitive information and who should have access. CBS's Willie James Inman reports from Washington.
The young man accused of leaking classified government records appeared in federal court in Boston. 21-year-old Jack Teixeira was arrested on Thursday in Massachusetts. Federal prosecutors have now charged the Air National Guardsman under the Espionage Act for removing and transmitting classified materials. His family left the courthouse Friday without comment.
You said I love you to your son in court. Is there anything you'd like to say now?
Teixeira was assigned to support cyber network infrastructure, raising the question of why he had access to classified information.
That question has floated around here at the White House. President Biden released a statement saying that he has directed the military and intelligence communities to secure and limit the distribution of sensitive information.
Attorney General Merrick Garland confirmed a broad reassessment is underway.
The Department of Defense is leading an important effort now to evaluate and review the national security implications, and most important, to conduct a review of the methods of access, accountability, and control procedures.
The materials first turned up in a private online chat group and had been there for months before investigators spotted the leak.
This is about the transmission, both the unlawful retention and the transmission of the documents. There are very serious penalties associated with that.
Teixeira is being held in custody until his detention hearing next Wednesday. Willie James Inman, CBS News, the White House.
The breach exposed secret documents about a range of sensitive issues, from the war in Ukraine to surveillance in South Korea, forcing the Biden administration into diplomatic damage control. The sister of Paul Wieland, a U.S. citizen detained in Russia, is expressing frustration over her brother's continued imprisonment. Wieland has been detained for more than 4 years on espionage charges. In 2020, he was sentenced to 16 years in prison. The U.S. was unable to get Wieland released last year. U.S. officials have said Russia refused to negotiate a trade for him when they brought home 2 other Americans detained in Russia, Trevor Reed April and Brittany Griner. In a Facebook video, Wieland's sister noted the U.S. has said it would not cross certain lines like prisoner swaps to bring Wieland home, but then it did cross those lines for Reed and Griner. Elizabeth Wieland says her brother, quote, needs the White House to get the job done. U.S. officials have said they are committed to bringing Wieland home. President Biden made his last stop on a 4-day trip to Ireland today. The president visited his ancestral home county of Mayo. President Biden also visited Northern Ireland, where he celebrated the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Peace Agreement between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. And he met with Irish President Michael Higgins in Dublin. Department of Defense spokesman John Kirby says the three major goals of the trip were to celebrate peace, talk about the importance of partnerships with Ukraine and the UK, and talk about the potential future of the region.
In both Northern Ireland and here in Ireland, you've got a young demographic, highly educated, very tech savvy, in economies that want to be a part of the high-tech revolution and be part of clean energy and advancing that science. There's just so much opportunity. After
a visit to the Knox Shrine, President Biden toured a hospice center that displayed a plaque commemorating his son. The U.S. Supreme Court is keeping in place federal rules for the use of the abortion drug mifepristone, at least temporarily. That news just coming down in the short while ago. Justice Samuel Alito issued an administrative stay late this afternoon, pausing lower court rulings that set restrictions on access to the abortion pill until next week. The stay comes hours after the Biden administration and the drug's maker asked the justices to intervene. CBS's Michael George has the latest from New York.
The Supreme Court says it's temporarily keeping in place federal rules for use of an abortion drug. The court asked both sides to weigh in by next week on whether a lower court ruling that added restrictions to mifepristone should take effect. On Wednesday, a federal appeals court weighed in on a ruling from a conservative judge overriding the FDA's approval of the pill. In a 2-to-1 vote, the appeals panel said the drug could still stay available, but imposed restrictions, including blocking mail delivery of the drug, shrinking the window in which women can take the medication from 10 weeks down to 7, and requiring in-person doctor's visits.
Having to go and meet with a doctor beforehand to determine whether she has life-threatening complications before taking these drugs is essential.
Mifepristone is used for more than half of all abortions in this country. It was approved by the FDA 23 years ago.
Mifepristone is one of the safest medications we have. It went through not just a normal FDA approval process, but was really held to a higher standard.
Justice Samuel Alito issued the ruling, which gives all sides until Tuesday to provide written responses. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Administrative stays such as the one issued today are not usually an indication of how the justices will rule going forward. A Pew Research poll says more than 6 in 10 Americans think abortion should be legal in all or most cases. Coming up on Mount